Let's talk about it.
Hello and welcome back to Thicc Radio, the podcast where we talk about gaining, feedism, and everything in their orbit. I'm James.
And I'm Tim, so let's get into it. Today we're welcoming to the show for the first time. Today we've got Striker.
Hello. Hi.
Hey Striker, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Good, glad to hear it. Listen, today is going to be a good day, I think. You know, it's a little bit later in the evening for me over here. For you guys, it's still sort of like late afternoon.
Early evening.
5-ish in the noon.
Type of thing. But you know what? We're going to get into it today. Because today, baby, we are talking about life in Brasilia. That is it, baby. So, Striker, you are Brazilian. Gorgeous looking Gainer boy. So, listen, first things first, tell us, what is it like to live in Brazil? What is that day-to-day life like in Brazil?
Boy, how can I start? It's like, depending the area that you live, like the state that you live, it's usually either really rushed or really peaceful. It's like no in between. Since I live here in the like one of the Mark Zero areas from Brazil, which is São Paulo, I usually get the very rushed side of things. So every day I can hear about about huge traffic is in the news, a lot of constructions happening. There's a subway construction happening like near home, actually. So it's a lot of stuff going on mostly at the same time. Clubs, parties, events, either geek events or other types of events. So it's mostly really fast-paced. So I could experience a little bit of the slowness and the peacefulness of some areas when I get to travel to some other states. So it's a little bit mixed, let's just say.
Nice. I mean, it's always interesting, and I feel like I say this almost every culture app. It's always interesting hearing like what life is like in other places. It's almost like that's why we do these episodes, to learn about another place in the world and how other people do what they do. Which, to that point, I want to ask you here, what is the biggest misconception that foreigners have when it comes to Brazil and Brazilians?
To say that we don't like football is kind of an understatement of the year, because Brazil kind of revolves around football. But a huge misconception is we just I gotta be full-time geek over here, so I'm gonna be squeezing from anime sources that I used to watch, and sometimes I keep watching also. We are not that focused on Carnival. Like, Carnival happens around February and March. So yeah, this is a time that we actually celebrate. We have samba, we have pagode, like as actual music from our side. But Carnival is not all year long, you know. It's most of the animes that I keep watching always depicts Brazil as every time with the carnival stuff, every time with the carnival reference. You can see it on Inazuma 11. You can see it on some bits and pieces of references on Zuden Sentai Kyoryuger, which just have the carnival mode. You can see a little bit of Real Soldier because of the boom, but yeah, we're not that carnival-esque type of people all year long, only around February and March.
That is something that I really want to experience, though. That's definitely on my bucket list, is to experience Carnival in Rio and Carnival in Venice. But
Come to
one
Sao
question,
Paulo too.
where else?
Sao Paulo, where I live.
There was one question I had just as a curiosity, because I know that Brazil is a huge country. So how much of it is populated and how much of it is rainforest?
Around actually like around the Amazonian area is more of rainforests, but we have a lot of cities, a lot of states that are actually deeply populated.
It is interesting because I think similarly with Australia, and this is probably like in my brain as an Australian, like the kind of like unofficial kinship I feel with Brazil, because obviously with the Amazon, like with Australia, a lot of the center is unpopulated, right? And it's beautiful and it's scenic, very difficult to live in for obvious reasons. And so, for the most part, people don't unless they are indigenous to that area. My understanding, very similarly with Brazil, places where there's going to be cities all throughout, but where it's like more densely Amazon, it's probably more populated with the indigenous peoples of those areas, of those parts of however you describe sectors of
Yes.
of the Amazon. But no, I find that just so interesting, right? That there are so many cities, and I feel like this is something that, because we've done a couple of episodes now, right? Venezuela, Colombia, even Mexico to an extent. You know, like a lot of these Latin American countries, it's really interesting when you kind of pick it all apart. There's actually so much culture, but so much civilization that happens in this part of the world that I feel like people don't talk about. So much like you say, oh, it's Brazil, it's football, it's carnival. What else is there? You know, and it's this very big caricature of just like people chilling in the Amazon, apparently, you know, and it's like there's actually so much more modernity that goes on that people don't give credit to, right? Um, so like with that part said, like what is the Brazilian culture like when it comes to fatness? Like being fat, becoming fat, body positivity, the gaining community. What's all that like?
Let's okay. I gotta try to break it down into three parts. Like, what is it being like on being fat or getting fat? Usually, well, mostly people tend to mock other persons do they becoming fat. It's mostly in, let's say, global thing, because there are some people that bully others just because of body stature, body size, and everything else. So usually I see, well, ever since I grew up, I see as a type of mockery. But as of now, like this year and starting around 2018 to 2019, we are reaching other spots and other heights on body positivity, people getting comfortable with themselves, people getting more aligned with who they are and what they like and who should they like. And this is beyond amazing. It gives me some strength. It gives me some space to be who I am, to like what I do like, and actually becoming more more in pace, more in actually in peace with what I'm feeling, with what I'm thinking, and not looking myself in the mirror and thinking like, ugh, I feel so awful today. No, I usually look myself in the mirror and just like, well, I just gotta change this shirt, just gotta brush my hair, just gotta be try to trim a little bit my beard, and I'm good to go. I'm awesome. Let's do this. And that brings me to the last session, which is the gaming community in Brazil. It's kind of a niche people. I per se am a owner of a group of gainers here in Brazil. I am one of the admins. Ever since, I'm gonna try to take it back from mind. Around 2020, yeah, the dark years. Let's just say the dark years. Around 2020 is when I started this group, this WhatsApp group. Actually, it started on Instagram when it went to WhatsApp, and we're still hanging out on WhatsApp even then. It's people, it's all kinds of people from all around Brazil. And we usually get to hang out with some of us which live here in Sao Paulo too. Uh, Mostly gaming related stuff, but usually we just hang out just for fun, like some karaoke, some time to chit chat. Usually we just go to a Burger King and just start chit chatting and start hanging out just as a couple of good friends. So, despite being niche, we are very strongly holding us ourselves together. We could call out some even more to the group. It's kind of hard because it's something more of a, how can I put it? It's something that people keep as a deep-seated secret, you know. It's kind of awful to let's to keep hiding about their true feelings, what they truly like, and about the gaining part, which is something that they actually like, but they are not allowed to share, or there doesn't feel comfortable to share. They have a group, but sometimes the group is not enough. I understand. Nobody is as I like to do, where there's new people around me. I don't want to force anything or anyone to someone to that doesn't want to do or not feeling comfortable to do. So I am the last one that's gonna be forcing someone to join us or to hang around with us. It is just more of a thing to they feel themselves comfortable to approach, or either I approach them just to chat and just to hang out a little bit. And if they want to, I can bring them in. If they doesn't want to, I'm just gonna be updating them on the status of the group and say that we have open arms and open house for them to join.
I love hearing that, and this is one of those moments that I think is always really important to hear when we do these episodes, because sometimes, like living in London, I live in one of the great mecca cities of the world, right? And even here in London, sometimes people are just too nervous. They don't want to do it. They feel so much anxiety. There could be 1,000 gainers here, and people won't want to meet one because this feeling or this fear or uncertainty can be so overwhelming. And, we cannot stress enough the importance of, one-on-one social interactions. Group, I think, is important because to be in community is important, I think. One-on-one, just as important, because some people thrive in group settings, some people don't. And that can be the simple social dynamic, right? That's just the main difference. It's not about the gaining, it's just the size or the number of people, right? And it's familiarity. I reflect on the first time I met a gainer back in Perth, and we're talking over a decade ago now. But I'll tell you what, the first time I met this guy, I was vibrating. I was so nervous. I was shaking all over. I couldn't even fathom that I was talking to another person like me, another gainer. And obviously in the time since then, I've leveled out. I've figured out how to be a nice, sociable person. But for many of us, between systemic fat phobia, between fear, as you mentioned with Brazil, it can be a judgy culture just like any other when it comes to weight and fatness. It's not surprising that people have got their hesitations. So to everyone listening, take this as your moment. If you encounter someone who is new in the community, who is experiencing those nerves, give them a moment. Give them grace. Offer the opportunity to meet somewhere sociable, like a Burger King. You can be fat in a Burger King and eat food, don't matter. Or you can meet for a coffee somewhere. Or you can meet for a pint. Or you can hang out in a park. There's actually no limit to the number of things you can do that are going to help to keep people feeling comfortable, safe, and willing to open up. So that's your moment. Encourage that. But I love hearing about the different facets of fatness because, again, it's interesting to hear what different places in the world are doing. So to maybe zero in on what are like resources like for fat people in Brazil. So I'm thinking things like, like fashion, or, some places have like fat acceptance groups or body positivity groups. Is there much of all of that in Brazil?
about fashion, yes, there's been a great uprising on plus size fashion here in Brazil. I myself usually consume one of it because my are usually a bigger size than me because I have wide hips. And mostly for, let's see, there's a lot of plus size fashion for a lot of women, and I feel so grateful for it because they are starting with women, and this is more assuring to me that they are bringing attention to a lot of the areas, not even just male body positivity, even female one. Like men and women are not treated as like the favorites of the one of each area. It's like everybody is getting their fair share of treatment, their fashion, their senses, their acceptances. There's a lot of groups of body positivity that I've been knowing and discovering along the years, and I feel so happy about it. There's a lot of cosplayers that I know that are still cosplaying despite being fat, despite being plus size, and this hypes me beyond belief because as me myself, I am fat. I can say it with property. I am fat. I still cosplay. Well, I technically I'm getting back to cosplaying, but I still this is something that I truly love. This is something that I truly like ever since I was a young kid. So it's making me feel a lot of hope that this scenario will keep growing and getting better and better each and every day, each and every year. So it's amazing to see all the progress that we are having ever since 2019, 2020, all the way from this year. And it brings me a lot of joy to notice everybody like spreading all the love and encouragement throughout social media.
What kind of characters do you cosplay as?
Ooh, let's go back in time. If I could turn back time. Okay. Uh I played Freddy Krueger once on my high school years. I've played Ryohei Sasagawa from Katekyo Hitman Reborn. I've played usually I am mostly dressed up as a UA student from My Hero Academia. I played a. I was dressed up as a Sunny ninja. Jonin ninja. I'm sorry, a Jonin ninja from Naruto. Uh, I even have the headband, the kunais, and everything. And now I am planning to return cosplaying as my own self as a spider token from the Spider Verse. You could call me Stunner Spider, and I have the visuals, I have the suit, I have everything. I even have the web launchers, and I'm gonna grab the dimensional device uh, around the 13th. Yeah, around the 13th because I'm gonna be heading to Brazil Game Show, and I'm gonna be my plans for next year or this year if everything works out. Hopefully, is gonna be Zack from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but with the dragon shield. I have the dragon dagger, I have the morpher. So I was just like, what if? What if? And then I started cooking up the ideas. I started chatting with my friends, and they were just like, go on, it's your time. There's no time like to there's no time like today. Just do it. And I'm just been cooking up the cosplay, getting the suit, getting the armor, getting the boots, getting the helmet, the blaster, and trying to keep myself a little bit on par with what I spent on the cosplay, but in the same time with things that I already have as a collector, as a Toku and Ranger collector, to help me on the cosplay to be a little bit easier, either on the money or on display.
No, that's awesome, dude. And I mean, this is not something we've necessarily talked about before on the podcast, but like cosplay, right? Like many of us, especially as, fat boys indoors, what do we play? Video games. A lot of us invest in like typically nerd culture, right? And cons are a big part of that. cosplaying and that roleplay, that fantasy, that visual. And I love that, you know, as much as I'm sure there are people at cons, there probably are people in con communities that are like, oh, you're too fat to be so and so. You're not the right color to truly portray so and so. Like, I'm sure there is that. But I feel like from what I have seen of like the best cons and like the best looks, it's like, it's not about being, not to say it's not about being accurate, like you want to get the look so that you know what you're looking at. But it's not about being like, I am this exact shade of skin color, so I can only cosplay these exact characters and there can be no gender bending and no age reversal. It's like actually the best cons have, you know, like you just, I identify with this character and I'm going to serve this character, so I'm going to put the look together and that's going to bring you like the best cosplay to the thing.
If you're like when you said, oh, I'm only this skin tone, so I can only play these characters, obviously you don't want to do blackface.
Well, yeah, there's...
Yeah, so like if you want to play a character who is of a different ethnicity than you, please do not paint your skin to match the...
No, bring your authenticity to that character. And I think we're all evolved enough people to logically apply that, you know, certain people should or should not do certain things because it's gonna look real bad. So I don't think we should have to state that, but let's just put that out there as the reminder.
Because there are some people who don't think about that before they do some Halloween costumes.
Like, and I suppose in a similar vein, because I think a lot of people have been drawing a similar comparison, you know, with blackface, is wearing a fat suit. Because ultimately, what is the purpose of blackface? What's the history behind it? Well, it is a motif where someone who is not black did a thing and then acted in a quote-unquote comical, funny manner to make light of that group of people. Fat suits actually fulfill the exact same paradigm. You are someone who is not a part of that community, putting on a costume to make fun of. So that's also something else to consider, like how you present with that is going to be important to consider. We don't substantiate blackface here on the podcast, and we're not pro fat suit either. If you're invested in portraying a very large person, we encourage you to go about that the traditional way. Eat lots of donuts, and you'll get there. Striker, you are... And again, I think this is also something worth pointing out. You are a Brazilian man. You are quite a lovingly melanated man. If I can ask this here briefly, like, does that ever factor into maybe some of the interactions you have with members of the community?
I guess so. I mean, usually we don't see that much of persons like persons like me around the community here in Brazil. Is usually either a little bit less colored than me, or just basically white. It's a little bit unsettling to say, but I have to get a little bit of guts to say it because it is kind of what it is. For all the people that I know, it's fine by me, but I guess it can be a little bit bothersome sometimes because sometimes I feel like I am the only one, you know. I usually see a lot more black gainers around the world, but here in Brazil, I'm kind of like, yeah. Sometimes I feel like there is just me. It's kind of sad, actually. I'm probably forgetting some 2 or 3 people that I already know, but it's a short number. It's a very short number, so it would be a little bit more. I guess relieving that's a word we can use. Is a bit more assuring that it's not just 3 people around Brazil that are into gaming, that are part of the community. There are active members and try to stick up and do events around to bring us together. Because, as I said, the Brazilian gaming community is a bit niched. So most of the guys that I know are usually let's say closed up in their own shell. Let's go like this. They're mostly hang out at their own home. They're mostly eating stuff around hotels. Doesn't they doesn't join us in various events that we do, like hanging out in karaoke's, like doing picnics, joining us at Burger King even. It's not even just because of the distance, because some of us are members from other states, but oh geez, so are members of other states, but some of us are just not that willing to join because they're gonna be feeling like left out. And it's a little bit sad to see this type of feeling like sometimes getting spread across the community around here.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think this is something that every time that question around race gets brought up in the podcast, I think it's always very relevant and very, very important. I mean, Tim, as a mixed race man, as a mixed race black man, I think, is there something that, what am I trying to say here? Not like, is there any wisdom you want to impart? Like, do you want to jump in here with anything that you think might be worth adding to those points?
Well, like I totally understand how Striker feels sometimes, because I often feel we've spoken before on the podcast about how I kind of feel like I live on a desert island with this. Like I feel like I'm not really in either community fully. I feel like I'm always caught halfway in between. And when it comes to some of the Grommr meetups, even big events that I've been to within the gainer community, there is a significantly larger amount of Caucasian people than people of color. And, that can feel kind of like I don't know what's social commentary to add to that. It's something that I always notice. And I would love to see that change a bit. I'd love to see the ratio be a bit more 50-50 instead of 75-20.
I feel like this is something that is worth coming back to every single time. And for listeners who are melanated and who are looking for more community with other melanated members of the community, make sure you reach out to Striker at the end of this episode, give him some love and build up that gorgeous, gorgeous community of color that we know that's out there. Let's connect not just with people in our own neighborhood, but people around the world who we're all, and you know what, that is true of all of us. Every single one of us is looking for community, looking for representation, looking for connection. Again, that is why we do these episodes, period. We are looking to highlight what is happening around the world. And this is something happening everywhere. So let's have more community, more representation, more of it. Can't be a bad thing, I do want to ask, because we've kind of been touching on this here, how do you view the gainer community in places where it's more heavily represented, like the UK, Canada, America, Australia, Germany? Like, how do you view the community in these places?
This is a wild dream that I had for a long time, ever since I got to teach English. I got a little bit of time acting as a English teacher when I got even more fluent on the speaking part of the language, and more advanced on the writing part of the language. I really wanted to travel to Canada, because there, or other places like UK, I would be at home. I would be like, let's how can I put it? This is a bit tricky, but I would be I guess more at ease on my surroundings, because I'm gonna be surrounded by people that like what I like, that are not gonna be constantly judged, are not gonna be constantly mocked or shamed. So it's like pretty refreshing to see all these other countries embracing the gaming community, embracing the their actual likings, and just being themselves. I want to travel to Canada or either to UK to experience that, even if it was a short while. It just would make me feel better.
Something I'm always conscious of is when people say that they're coming to London, and I always do try to reach out and say, oh, you're coming to London, let me know the dates, let me know when and where. And, I always do try my best to make myself available when people visit, because I think it is important to be a bit of a host, even if you can't have people stay with you, at the very least to say, oh, I know you're going to be here on these days, actually, I'm going to be free these nights. So let me know, and, we can meet around this area at this time. I can show you the places I know to go, and we can have a meal, and we can talk, and, just things that you do to try and make someone's travel experience a little bit more worthwhile, because it's nice when there's an event going. It's great when you can meet a big group of people, but I think as well, like we were saying before, sometimes it's that one-on-one intimate moment that I think really can make or break the experience, So to pivot here a little bit, I'm curious to ask, when it comes to the food, the drinks, I want to know from you, Striker, I need you, baby, tell me please, what is your favorite Brazilian snack, drink, and meal?
Oh boy, that is a tricky question. Okay, let's go. Food. I am always and always will be a pizza guy, but a Brazilian specific thing would be hot dogs from Osasco. These are humongous hot dogs with every single type of toppings and fillings that you could possibly think that it could fit in a hot dog. These are my favorite. Every time that I came back from work, I usually stop at Osasco Station. Sometimes I am willing to pay another ticket just to go out of the station, buy a hot dog, and return going home because it is so good. It's easy to get a little bit messy. You can fulfill your messy eater vibes just by wielding one of these beasts in the palm of your hand, and it's sometimes amazing to see it, but it's very delicious for sure. As drinks, I guess I can say an old school drink that usually I just gravitate towards lately is ceviche, which is just natural cachaça and a vanilla dash lemon juice, like powder juice. You mix it, you put a little bit of actual lemon or just a little pinch of sugar just to keep a little bit things on the sweeter side of things, and shake it, and there you go. You have the drink. It's easy to make, it's easy to drink. You can make it a bit sour, a bit sweet, depends on your liking, and it's pretty fulfilling to easily get drunk with, actually. It's kind of fun. It's kind of funny to see some friends like making with actual vodka. You can make with vodka ceviche, but usually I just do with cachaça because there are some cachaças here in Brazil that are actually already sweetened, so I don't feel like in the need to put even more sugar. Just the sugary from the juice is already there, and it's just pour the juice, mix it, drink it. It's done. And let's see, we got food, we got drinks, and snack. Well, okay. There are some snacks, espetinho, basically like some barbecue type of cooking, but usually people get it on every sort of stuff like chicken, we got sausages, we got meat, we got cheese, we got pork chop, and everything else. Even it can be a little bit mixed on both side of things. Like you can put two sausages, two meats, and go them in between, or two chickens, two cheese, or two pork chops, and two meat and pork, or pork chop and sausages. It's my favorite one. It's my favorite one. There are some the actual snacks that I usually eat, like some crackers, like some like some cake. But eating espetinho is like one of the most gratifying things that I love to do. And I am saying this because it's in a podcast and I feel myself a bit at home. Sometimes when I head to the gym, I know a guy that makes pacino. Sometimes I pass on his shop and say to him to cook up two of them because I'm gonna be leaving the gym in determined time. I'm gonna be passing there and I'm gonna be eat two or four straight up. And some people say, "Oh, you're cheating, Jim. You're gonna cheat. You're gonna be cheating your diet." And I'm just like, "Bitch, I am a muscle gainer. If I want to, I can become just a gainer. Let me enjoy my favorite snack. Thank you. Good night."
I mean, I have got to give it to a guy who can phone a bitch ahead of time and say, "Motherfucker, I'm coming to eat. Be ready for me. Don't be ready for customers. Be ready for me." That's tea. That's tea right there. That's fabulous. And listen, all of those sound fantastic. So listen, when we inevitably do Thicc Radio, Sao Paulo come to visit, you're going to have to show us around to all these eats because it sounds like, and by visuals, looks like a bitch can eat. So we're going to need to be getting in on all of that action. Thank you very much. Oh, gosh, that sounds fantastic. You got me drooling, bitch. Now, I do want to ask you, and I know you have mentioned like anime and the kind of nerdy references quite a bit. I want to ask, is there any specific Brazilian characters that are plus size? Like when you were growing up and you saw these people doing what they were doing on TV, in cartoons, in Brazilian movies and whatnot, was there anyone who was like thick, fat, muscly, just thickums, delicious, that made you as a little child go, I want to be just like that?
Around my childhood, it's kind of hard to remember, but usually when I was a little kid, I tend to consume most of international media. So there's a lot of series that I used to watch, mostly because I was training my English ever since I was a kid. Like 7 years old, I was starting to practice by myself and with my grandma. But along these years, like along around 12 to 14 slash 15, there was a character. Oh, actually. Uh, Going back to Kyoryuger, which I referenced on the start, there is a member of the Sentai team which is actually chubby, which is Kyoryu Cyan, if I recall correctly, which is Ramirez. He was actually chubby during the recordings. He was a chubby character, and I was just looking like, you can be a ranger. Of course, it was before Rangers, before I even saw Power Rangers Dino Charge. I was looking at Ramirez like, you can be a ranger and also be chubby slash fat. I was just like, yeah, I will do this. I like him. He's hot. I will do this. And even this year, if this year I saw Kamen Rider Geats Special, which was connecting Kamen Rider Ryuki to Geats event. It was a Hyper Battle DVD. Kamen Rider Oja, suit actor, is chubby. It is fat. You can see the armor getting a little bit puffed up. And he still do stunt work. he still portrays the character. And I'm just like, there shouldn't be any reason that all heroes should be all slim, all slim and in shape and everything else. No, we can have fat heroes. We can have like Fat Gum on My Hero Academia. He's usually like slim. He usually like fit and everything else. But if I recall correctly, there is an episode that he stated that he likes being that big, that massive as a hero because he feel like he can save more people like that, and it makes me so glad to see that. There was a character from a DC cartoon. I don't recall it correctly. I guess it was Speedball. I might be misremembering, but I guess it was Speedball. And he was just amazing. He was a person of color. He was black. He was fat, and he put into work. Every time that he was on the scene, I was just cheering for him all day long. So yeah, there from all the medias across my childhood, which is actually this DC cartoon is from my childhood, so I got a little bit of remembering there. So I was just like, yeah, I guess I can pull it off. I can pull it off. Sometimes I'd be looking myself in the mirror like I'm too skinny. I am just not enough. And as Tim pointed out a little bit earlier, I keep falling in between. Like I am fat, but not too fat. And actually, right now, I'm still in the between again because some people say that I'm a bear. Some people say that I'm not like a bear. I am chubby, but not that chubby. I am fat, but not that fat. So who knows? Usually, and now I'm just taking all the labels away and just being myself is just the best thing that I can do, and not get more pressured on my head to make myself fit. I just got the let's say I just got an oath, a self oath. Like I don't want to like act to be fit in some places, in some friend groups, in some contact lists. Like this is not me. I'm putting a facade. I'm putting a mask. I just want to be myself. I don't want to fit into places. Fuckers, you have to deal with me. Fit me, not I fit on you.
Amen. Hallelujah. Yes, God. Let the church sing. There is a choir of bitches in the background just giving hours of Afro church style vocal runs praising Jesus' name after that, because baby, ain't that the fucking truth. We are a niche of a group of people who are just trying to be okay with who we are and get through the day. And we are the first people to criticize each other and ourselves when we say, you are not good enough, you are not trying hard enough, this is not enough, etc. Or what you're doing it wrong. Or just, there's always a critique. And it's like, I just want to exist. I just want to be happy being me. Like, why is this a fucking prove yourself adventure series? Like, no, ma'am. I'm trying to get big, trying to get bulky, get on or get off. I don't care. By the way, I'm moving. So if you're not going to move with me, move out of my way, bitch. So I appreciate that attitude 100%. To bring it back around to language a little bit, I'm curious to know, like in Portuguese, or at least in like Brazilian Portuguese, is there like a phrase that you'll use to kind of like up each other as gainers?
Ooh, boy. I am the least one educated on this, but there's usually a phrasing that I keep myself pumped into focus on my trials, focus on my goals, which is I guess I can say in Portuguese that I can translate it it's going to be a little bit toughy, but I guess I can do this. Like, fila anda, catraca gira, vida segue. The line moves, the spinner spins, and the life goes on. We are just moving ourselves. If you don't move alongside us, just go away. We have our own trials, we have our own journeys, our own fears, our own overcomings. We just gotta be ourselves and face everything that with all the might that we have. There's no need to keep constantly swimming against the current. Sometimes you just have to take the current and flow, because you never know what new and amazing surprises the current will bring.
But like, if you wanted to tell me, I think your belly is cute, or I really like your belly, how would you say that?
Ooh, you can be direct. You can be very direct and say, "Barrigão lindo." Like, that's a nice belly. That's a big belly. Like, you can be straight ahead, and usually when we see like all covered up, all tucked up, uh, we can be a little bit playful. We can be a little bit joyful and say just. And if I recall correctly, there was one time that even I used it. It was sort of like oh it was, oh shoot, it's coming up. Don't worry, I will remember. I put in the spotlight here. Oh yeah. Uh, por, por essa por esse caminhão eu faria 2 viagens. Por esse peso eu faria 2 viagens. Perdão. For this heavyweight, I make 2 travels.
Oh, so that's kind of like saying she's so fat she has to, when she hauls ass, she has to take 2 trips. Yeah.
Bitch so fat she got her own postcode. Like, bitch, I love that. So heavy, I'd take 2 trips. I love that. Give it to us one more time. What is it?
Por essa carga pesada, eu faço 2 viagens. For this heavy load, I take 2 travels.
Girl, you need to text that to me, because I'm gonna start putting that on my profile and on my post. Like, this is a heavy load. I'm gonna take 2 travels, bitch. Like, yes, God, hallelujah. Oh, well, that's fabulous. I love that. I love that. Now, I know we talked a little bit about, the community, its niche. It needs more of everything. And I think every community everywhere needs more of everything, because we're all just out here trying to spin gold out of straw, But I want to ask you, if you could make one change to the Brazilian gaming community, what would it be?
Biased or not, I guess I can be a little bit biased, but let's take a little bit more together, guys. Please. This is a very niche community with a very niche people. Even here in Brazil, there's a lot of members that leave the group and get back in the group, like and keep secretly they're gaining like in fantasies, like they're gaining selves hidden. Let's stick together. Let's make events. Let's join. Let's make something that it's a bit more cozier and friendlier to members that are actually discovering the gaming community all around the world. If lives in Brazil, can reach out to us, can reach out to me and be like, what is it like? You don't plan ahead on about the benefits and the bad things that may come to it. Is it okay for you? Is it okay to the other members? Like, if you are discovering it, if you are taking your research about it, and you see yourself in liking it and into it, take a shot. But take a shot sticking to all the members that you know. At least you get be more familiar about the terms, more familiar about the things that they do, the food that they eat, to be more in touch with the community, to understand with a inside eye type of view. Like we have two POVs, we have two point of views. The point of view inside and outside the community. The point of view of outside is something like should be banned, should be mocked, should be everything and anything more. But the point of view of inside is like we're just hanging out, we're just being ourselves. But most of the things that happens pretty far from us, or just happens in places that there's not nearly enough of us in determined countries or states. So let's stick together more, let's chat more, let's hang out more. It would be my deepest and greatest change that I would do to the Brazilian community. And I could say the community as a whole, but I see a lot of meetups and grown-ups, and it makes me so happy to see everybody just hanging out and having fun. God, I wish that was me. But in the meantime, I wish I could do this here in Brazil. I wish I could grab everybody, despite the states that they're living, just gather up, be on a hotel, have fun, travel around, know the places, go to buffets and self services. There, just you have an FYI. There's a buffet over here, like an all you can eat buffet of Japanese food, and like let's hang out there. Let's have some fun and stick a lot more closer and together as a community, as a Brazilian community, because we are short on people, like people that are actually willing to stick up and pull up events and gather around, you know?
100%. And I mean, to close out here, I just want to ask, what's the biggest question about life in Brazil that you want people to ask you, and what's the answer?
Like, gaining in Brazil is easier or is it harder than other countries? The answer, harder. That's definitely harder, because some of foods that are actually fattening can be way more expensive than other types. So we have to do some improv, and some of the foods that we are actually gathering can be spoiled or rotten pretty easily. So we have to take care of our finances, our spendings, just to have that little bit extra edge on cash to do what we all want to do, like order myself. This is my gainer brain just turning on mid going out to the street or anything. I'm like, okay, what did I do today? I went by foot a lot. I just got a lot of walking. I hang out with my friends. I hang out with my boyfriend. So I am hungry. I'm gonna be the sleazy fitness type of food, or gonna be gainer brain full time. And my gainer brain full time is going to Burger King, asking a Mega Stacker 4.0, which is Atomic Mega Stacker 4.0. I should clarify, is bacon burger. It's like bread, bacon burger, bacon burger, bacon burger, bread. It's like 4 burgers and 4 layers of bacon. So I just devoured that like a champ. But it is very expensive. It is beyond belief, like the dance that does on my ticket. But it's something that it kind of makes me happy to do. But man, is it sometimes hard, because if you doesn't eat constantly or in a paced manner that you can see the numbers going up, like big number go burr, it's a little bit disappointing sometimes. I can say myself that I am stuck on around 132 to, 130, 132 to 135 kilograms for almost a year. November is going to make a year, so it's a bit hard. So if you want to gain here in Brazil, like this question, if you want to gain here in Brazil, be prepared to spend a lot of money. This is the facto answer. If you want to gain here in Brazil, things are expensive, bring lots of cash, get ready to spend a lot of money.
Oh my goodness, that has been another week here on the podcast. Striker, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing of yourself today. We really appreciate it. Where can our listeners find you online?
Oh, you can find me online. I'm going to be on BlueSky, like the stratosphere. Let's just say that. Let's say stratosphere. You can find me there on Striker Narukami. You can find me on chunkorilla on Instagram. Mostly I'm going to be on private profile, but I'm going to be knowing from all the following and the rest of the followers that we are getting to, I'm going to be well received from everybody that was listening to this episode. So I'm going to be adding everybody. So don't worry. You can find me. Do it. I can be a little bit show off and talk about my Twitch channel. Can I Tim? Can I Jay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can find me on twitch.com/striker or strikersparkoficial. I am a variety Twitch streamer. I took a long break because balancing work stuff with RPG stuff, with projects that I've been doing in the backbone, and lots of other things like going to the gym, being a DM, being a player on RPGs online here on Discord, planning my cosplay, training to play the guitar, and everything else. It's been a mess, but I will be returning soon. You can find me there. And I guess that's pretty much it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that. Listeners, go and check out this gorgeous man. But that's it for another week here on Thicc Radio. Please remember to like and subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and leave us a good review. If you liked this episode, the podcast, or just us in general, share it with your friends and encourage them to tune in. You can find me on Instagram and BlueSky at stannnum.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at ThiccyMouse. You can also look us up on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Thicc Radio, or at our website at www.podpage.com/Thicc Radio. If you want to submit a voice note or become a financial supporter of the show, you can find the links in the show notes. And you can also write us at thethicradio@gmail.com. So until next time, bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Let's talk about it.
Thicc Radio is a Patreon and Anchor app podcast produced by Stan and Thiccy Mouse.
Mixed and mastered by Stan.
Our artwork is provided by Lokitu.
Our theme song is provided by Spotify.